Okay, welcome back. So hopefully you've enjoyed so far part 1, 2, 3, and 4, and we've brought this hopper all the way to this level so far. So the next thing that I'm going to do here is we'll go ahead and take care of the walkway. That's probably the last real big part of this before I get into doing some chalk. So the way I do the walkway, this part right here is pretty simple. You can probably do this a couple of different ways, but this car, from most of the photos I've seen, has been in service for quite some time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just use a small brush, and I I use burnt umber and I dilute it down to a wash. And what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and wick that right into all the grooves of this walkway, and then reload the brush, and you can see it just kind of wicks into all the little crevices of that walkway. And there's no real science to this either. You just kind of make sure it's diluted enough. We're not painting this on, we're actually using it as a wash. So I'm using burnt umber and my odorless mineral spirits, and just adding some color to this walkway, and it's kind of going down into all these little grooves here. It just kind of wicks in. And the variation in the color there really helps add to the realism, I think. Looks like I missed a spot with the full strength into here. I'll just hit that real quick. And it looks like I'll go a little more full strength right underneath here. Kind of fill that in. I missed that on my last video. Alright, and then we'll go back to a wash and just continue washing this with some color. And just kind of keep in mind where we are doing a wash on this. I'm not tilting the car too much because it'll all run to one side. And we just apply some of that in here. Kind of like so. It looks like I might have missed the end underneath the walkway on this side also, so I'll get a little bit of full strength in here just to kind of blend that in. Like that. Kind of like so. And then what I'll do is, most of the time these the lids on these cars are not, they're either fiberglass or something like that, but the hinges are still kind of metal, so we're just going to kind of wick some of that rust on these hinges. And if you wanted to, let's say you're modeling a Burlington Northern car or an X something car, you could mask off one of these panels and actually paint it a different color, maybe a blue or a BN green. You know, the panel might have got damaged at one point and they've just replaced it and hadn't painted it yet. Wasn't the exact same color of the rest of the panels. I've seen that done a lot of times, which looks kind of neat. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind before you get going on the walkway. You just mask it off real quick, hit it with an airbrush, different color. That just kind of adds to the uniqueness of a car. Oh, try to keep this in focus for you here. Okay, kind of like so. I'll lift this up so you can see it a little better. Kind of like that. Okay. Now you can always get in here with a little heavier strength. Maybe not 100%, but not full dilution either, and just kind of get it a little darker in some different spots. And I'll show you why here in just a minute. Just hit it in some different spots, get a little darker in some areas. Okay, kind of like so. And then if you remember in my my last video, you remember these sponges. We just want to go in and kind of dab up some of that. And what that does is it keeps the rust in between instead of all on top. Just kind of take some of that off. Focus. Kind of like that. And you know, if it's too light, you can come in and add a little more. It's kind of what's nice about the oil paint. It's a really long work time. Add a little more color here and there, especially along the ends of the cars. Kind of took a little bit off here that I could add a little bit more in here like this. That. Okay. So that's what we got so far. So the next thing that I do, let me set this aside for a second. There's a lot of weathering chalks out there. This is one kit that I've had now for years. You can see I use a lot of the rust colors, the dark colors. I actually have a whole container of black and a whole container of white still that I spent $7 on years ago. Once I finally end up using these rust colors up, I'll probably switch over and get some more modern weathering powders. But these are just regular pastel chalks I picked up at like a Michael's, a Ben Franklin, you know, anywhere out there that sells arts and crafts. I don't think they make this particular kit anymore, but you can still find these colors out there. And all I do is I take an X-Acto blade and I actually just scrape some of this color and it turns it into a powder. And once I do that, I end up with a container, and this keeps my weathering powders in a nice neat place. So I got some white, some black, some different shades of rust going, and that's what I use right now. So once all this powder is gone, I'll probably just end up getting some regular weathering powders, but for now these do the job pretty well. So real easy on the car. Now that we've got all this burnt umber, it's pretty uniform color. Rust isn't all one color. You know, there's a lot of variations. So the color that I'm going to use right now is going to be these two shades right here. Mostly this one. This is kind of a raw Senia color. This is more of a burnt umber color. Then of course black. This is kind of an in-between chocolate color, and this is another older rust color. So the older the rust, the darker it is, the newer the rust, the lighter it is. So since I've added so much dark rust to this car already, I'm pretty much going to just stick with these two colors to kind of add some variation. And you just apply some on the brush, and we're just going to get in here and dab that on the top. Some of that on this, just give us some variation in color up here. Like the rust has been there, it's still, I don't know if you can see what that did, but it really helps add to the, just a little more realism to the car, different shades of rust. I'll go ahead and do the other side on the top. And then down the sides of the car, what I'll do is I'll use some white. I'll go ahead and use some white and just kind of touch that here and there, and then I work that into fade and give it like it's been sitting out in the sun, just cooking out in the yard somewhere. And you can use a bigger brush if you want. But this really helps fade down the sharpness of the oil. Kind of like that, and then I'll come in with some more of the raw Senia color and kind of hit that along the bottoms here. Just like so. So I can pick that up before I get a closer look at it. I'll flip around and go to the other side. Same idea. Go ahead and put some white on here. Just kind of fade the color down on that really sharp burnt umber color we added on the last video. Kind of fade it down a little bit. And you want to use a lot. We want to fade a panel down. Just like that. That really fades that panel right there nicely. I'm doing another one right here. Really fade that panel down like that. And then a little more raw Senia just to even out so much white that we just put on the bottom here. And if you want to add some of that along the top. Like that. Now on the ends of the cars, same idea. Just going to get in there with a little bit of the raw Senia, since we've added so much burnt umber already, and just kind of give it some variations of rust color shading here. And get up inside here a little bit. just like that. Kind of see inside there on that the air reservoir, and along the bottom on this side. Just a little bit on the end of the car. I'm not going to put too much on this side, just enough to give this some variation. Color a little platform here, and then along the bottoms. On the bottoms, the same idea. Be some new rust in here. Just going to dust that down. Maybe add a little bit of white. Kind of like the way the white makes it look like old metal. Works well. And then we'll hit the other side. On the bottom of the car. Kind of like that. Alright, so there you have it. If you want to add a little bit of rust up on the top, do that real quick. Add some fresher rust along the walkway here. Since this is used a lot, it would probably have some new rust up there. Kind of like that. Okay, so there you have that. So we've taken this hopper from pretty much a brand new in the box. So from a brand new in the box to that right there. So the next thing I do before we move on, in my last video segment for weathering, we're going to go ahead and take care of, we'll finish up doing the trucks and how I do those and use a Q-tip and spray them. That'll be the last step on the car. That'll be the last video. Before I go, let's go ahead and pull these, the tape off and see how this looks underneath. Looks like a brand new paint job. Being a little stubborn. There we go. Yeah, look at that. There you have it, folks. Try it out, enjoy, and then in my last video segment, we'll go ahead and weather up the wheels, and we'll add this to the layout. Alright, thanks for watching.